have to be the one to continue to set the record straight. Everybody wants to just wash out history and deny what we just saw for the past 2 decades plus from the GOAT, Tom Brady. But I'm here to remind you of a couple of things. Number one, it's a guy that throughout his playing career has lacked integrity, has lacked morals, has bended rules at every turn because he's a maniacal winner, and I don't criticize him for it. I say that to say this. You must be boo-boo the fool if you absolutely think Matt Stafford and Tom Brady ended up on the same damn mountain in Montana over this past week. Who the hell is believing that was happenstance and not Brady recruiting Stafford to be a Las Vegas Raider?
Well, clearly Ian Rappaport of NFL Network, who accosted the journalist at a Starbucks at the Indianapolis airport over these claims. We had a source off.
Yeah.
Contending sources, conflicting sources. The story is still in the gray area.
It's not in the gray area. Here's the issue. Everybody with the brain can consider the facts and say, yes, Tom Brady, Michigan man, and what are Michigan men most known for?
They are known for
bending
pride.
The rules.
That too.
Bending the rules and cheating. How did what was the last championship they had? Connor Stallions. How did Connor Stallions get his make his name, make his hay?
By scouting ahead of time,
helping them cheat.
Yeah.
The last time we saw an NFL owner, because that's what Tom Brady is for the Las Vegas Raiders now. He's not just a former quarterback. He's not a homie. He is by definition, a minority owner of the Raiders. So he can't recruit right now. It would be tampering if he was recruiting. When was the last time we actually saw an NFL owner get penalized for recruiting a quarterback to come to their franchise?
Well, it's not too far from here, is it?
I think it's right around the corner. I think it's the man that's making his name in real estate, but also happens to own not just Hard Rock Stadium, but the Miami Dolphins and pretty much everything here in Palm Beach County. Stephen Ross. And you remember who Stephen Ross was trying to get when he was recruiting a quarterback?
I actually do. It's Tom Brady.
It was Tom Edward Brady. And you know what both of those two guys have in common?
What's that?
They're Michigan men. They're cheaters by definition. And I'm not knocking them being people that circumvent the rules. I mean, my pops used to teach me when we played pity pat back in the day. You know what I'm saying? We don't play it as much now because, the family reunions, they become less and less over the years. But back when we at the family reunions, we play a little pity pat. And one of my uncles might do a little something that bends the rules to try and get by. And they say, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And that's how they excused it. I don't think that's right. I had my feelings hurt, but what was I going to do about it? They were the ones winning. What are we going to do about Brady? He's the one winning. What is he going to do about the Raiders? They're doing a whole lot of losing, and he thinks Matt Stafford is going to be the solution to what they have going on. All I'm saying is this. Matthew Stafford has a couple of options on the table, right? He can go and seek refuge with the New York Giants and try to be the savior of that franchise where you have not one but two desperate people depending on quarterback play to save their job in general manager Joe Schoen and in head coach Brian Daboll. That sounds like a little bit of a risky flight, though, right? Why would you want to sign up for that at 37 years old?
Not many people walk into New York and win these days.
No. In fact, it's usually the opposite. The last 5 or 6 superstars on the back end of their careers that we saw go to New York in most, I won't say baseball, but in basketball and in football, we've seen it fail. Kevin Durant to the Brooklyn Nets, James Harden as well. How about in the NFL when we watched Aaron Rodgers go to the Jets right now, and he still hasn't found a new home after the last couple of seasons of disaster.
Careers might go to die.
It doesn't work. Even Brett Favre, when he went to New York to the Jets, he did better out in the Vikings uniform than he did with the New York Jets. It's career suicide to go that route, and I don't think Stafford would sign up for that when he could stay back with Los Angeles, and the Rams would be better because, again, they were just a couple plays away from making it to the NFC Championship game. They'd be better for keeping that veteran quarterback in-house with Sean McVay.
Well, they were just a couple ways, not just from going to the NFC Championship game, but a couple plays from beating the eventual Super Bowl champions. Yeah. They gave the Eagles the best game they got all postseason.
Man, why couldn't they just get it done? Why didn't the Rams take care of the dirty work? And that way, today we could be talking about my Kansas City Chiefs as the first team to ever three-peat in the NFL. I'm not gonna reopen closed wounds, but what I will do is reiterate these two facts to you today. If I was in Stafford's camp, I think the number one option for him would be to stay in L.A., play at SoFi with Sean McVay, one of the best offensive minds and head coaches in the NFL, and try and finish your career there. I think it's best for both parties if they can find a deal as close to $50 million a year, if not just 50 a year, to keep him there and see how many more bites of the apple they can get with that iteration of that team. The other option, which should be the only other option, if I'm in Stafford's camp, if I'm Kelly Stafford and I'm kicking it on the podcast and I'm trying to direct where my dog is going to go next, it's got to be the Las Vegas Raiders. And to me, that's why it makes sense that not only did Brady extend the invite to Stafford to come out there to Montana and kick it on the slopes, but also that he accepted it and he wouldn't hurt him out. That recruiting pitch was probably really strong. And when you look at what the Raiders have, it's not a lot, but they got Brady in there, which we've seen. He brings winning everywhere he goes, and he's willing to bend the rules, which is good, as long as you don't get caught in the fire. They've also got Pete Carroll as their head coach, and that's a guy that's a little long in the tooth. Like, how old is Carroll now? Is he the oldest active head coach in the league?
Yes, he will be. When he coaches his first game next season, he will be the oldest active head coach.
Like 75, 76, I might be pushing it, but Pete Carroll is not a spring chicken, and I don't say that lightly. I say that with this in mind. What I've seen out of these sports legends who are literally on the back end of their careers, and he's 73 years old. That's a good Google right there. Pat Riley, impatient, wants to win now, especially when you've had a taste of the glory. Pete Carroll, he's on the back and he's impatient. He wants to be in a situation right now where they're going to be able to contend. You think about even with a guy like Nick Saban, he wouldn't go somewhere to just kick it. I don't think Bill Belichick is in Chapel Hill to just build up a decent roster and send people to the pros. He wants to win. They are addicted to that feeling of hoisting the trophy when you have felt that feeling before. And I couldn't feel any more confident that as desperate as the Giants are, the Raiders are more, I wouldn't use desperation to define them. I would more so say dedicated to building a champion that can compete this year, and that starts at the quarterback position, not in the draft, not with like a Sam Darnold, but with a guy like Matthew Stafford that can push you over the top. Now, it's going to take a lot more this offseason, but I think that's the starting block, especially if you can get the Rams to give him over and not have to give up too much high future draft capital. It's a win-win.
But in the decision pie, right, all factors that are going to factor into what Matt Stafford and the Rams do next year, because he's not a free agent, so there has to be terms agreed upon outside of just Matt Stafford's choice. But if we are just going from this selfish perspective, with the quarterback, with one of the older quarterbacks in the NFL right now, what percentage of that decision is just winning? Because all of this news cycle was about him wanting more money.
Yes, it is. It is. And when you've won a championship, especially recently, and you're on your last contract in the league, you want not just more money, but guaranteed money up front. The problem is when the Rams restructured him, right, they've been talking about this like a year or so ago when they restructured him, it was kind of incentivized in a way of like, hey, we're going to take care of you in the summer of 2025. Well, guess what? Yeah, the Bills do. The Bills do. And if the Rams aren't willing to pay him what he's acquired as his market value, which is right around $50 million, because apparently that's what he's been hearing from the teams that he and his agent have been able to go out there and chop it up with, like, why would he stay? Why would he stay, and why wouldn't he take a chance at going to Vegas where the lifestyle is similar? Your wife will likely be cool with kicking it out there. And on top of that, again, people look at the Raiders, and they probably say 6-7 win team at best, right? They probably say that's a franchise that's a little directionless. They're in a tough division in the AFC West. You got to go against Mahomes and Herbert and what the Broncos are today. I think the floor for the Raiders next year, especially if they get Stafford, would be third in the AFC West above the Broncos, and there's a much stronger confidence that they would have internally, and I would even have as a Chiefs fan, that they can maybe even surpass the Chargers and what they have, because that defensive line is fierce. If you're able to build a team that can actually kind of, get somewhat of a lead, if you're able to build a team that's actually able to kind of control the ball and move the sticks, and then you trot that defensive line out there and Max Crosby, who has an engine like no other, just keeps getting after folks, like, I do believe in Christian Wilkins in the middle, and you got that other edge rusher outside. Like, I do believe that's a team that, similar to the Giants, have the foundation, but I think they would have the better coaching. I think they would have the better leadership up top, and Matt Stafford would make them a team that could be like a 10-11 win team next year. That's not crazy to say.